Hello campers, Dr. Dickey here. All right, an update. First, 8 solar panels, working excellent. It actually gets the battery charged up today, even with intermittent sunshine like we have. Gets the battery charged up before 10 o'clock in the morning. And you really don't start getting sun into it till you get to about, well, really, realistically, till after 8:30, 9 o'clock. So that's like an hour. It really is cranking. So what does that say? Well, that says about what I talked about before, and that was I really need to increase the capacity of my batteries, of my battery. And I increased the capacity of the battery for the fan. Remember I had that 200 e-bike pack that I was taking apart and showing you how to take it apart? Well, I got the 200 cells out of that, and I said, what am I going to do with these? Well, 12 volts for a lithium-ion system is not the best fit because, you know, the lithium-ion goes from about 4 to 3.5 volts. And so working it out with a 12-volt system, which everyone says a 12-volt system, really what they mean is a 13-volt system, because that's what 12 volts really is. It's when it gets down to about 12 volts, it's starting to get low. It usually is between 14 when they're turbocharging it or whatever, 13 something down to maybe 11.8 or so. So that doesn't really fit in with the 4 to 3.5 volts that you run for lithium-ion systems. But a 4S doesn't quite work, and a 3S definitely doesn't work. I did a 4S and it still was okay, but it wasn't great. So I had a 24 volt inverter that I was using from before. So I went ahead and took those 200 cells I got out of that e-bike pack and made up 3 more packs. And now I have a 7S 48P that is doing 24 volts, and the lithium ion fits very well with 24 volts, 24 or 48 volts. Fits very, very well for that. So that's one update, was I did update that. I want to update by adding 100 cells to each pack. So sorry, that's the inverter fan kicking on. It's about 10:15 in the morning and it's already in the upper 80s. But again, it won't get much higher than 90 something today. It just tends to get hot pretty quick. I want to add 100 cells to each pack. Now, how did I cause complications by doing what I did? My packs are uniform, homogeneous. I made them all from LG M26 cells that I got from Medical Packs, from Battery Clearinghouse. 50 cents a cell. Excellent deal, excellent cells, and I got a lot of them. There were very few that were damaged, but there's always some when you're salvaging cells, but for the most part I got a lot of cells. Beautiful. So I decided, thank you inverter, I decided I wanted to increase each pack by 100 cells. Right now I have 14S 260p. I want to go to 14S 360p, which will increase my capacity because I want to add the bathrooms and the garage. Really, that's about all there is onto the system. Not that it can't handle it right now, but I got the array that could charge up a much higher capacity, so I might as well get the much higher capacity. Because my packs are so uniform, so homogeneous, I can't really put other cells onto it because I have a uniform capacity. The cells are all rated for 2.6 amp hours, and they all came in between, say, 28 and 26 amp hours. The internal resistance, the impedance, really it's internal impedance, although they call it IR. The internal impedance is all between, say, 32 and 36.9. I cut it off. Anything with 37 or above I didn't use those cells. There weren't many, but there were some. So if I'm going to add on to, piggyback on top of these packs and other packs with 100 cells in it, they've got to match the capacity, and they've got to match the internal resistance, more importantly than even the capacity of these packs. The capacity could be a little bit higher. That wouldn't hurt anything. Can't really be lower. That would hurt something, because then those 100 cell packs would be drained out quicker than the other ones, and that would cause problems. So I really need to get 1,400 more LG M26 cells. Okay, go back to the source with the battery packs. I went to Battery Clearinghouse, sold out. I emailed Dan at Battery Clearinghouse, great guy, and he said, it's funny you should mention that, but I just found 4 groups of 160 cells in each group total, and I was just going to put them up for the weekend. And I said, well, that's great, and the 4 is great, but I really need about 11 of those 160 cell packs. And he said, well, I can put you on a list, and we'll let you know if we get any more. And I said, okay, that's great. And then my wife wanted some donuts, so I went to run out to get her some donuts. She's way too skinny, so I don't mind getting her donuts. She has trouble keeping weight on. And so I went and got her some donuts, and then when I got back on the way out to get donuts, I thought, well, idiot, why didn't you buy those 4? That's 600 and some cells. That can get you almost halfway to what you need. I got back, somebody had already snapped them up. All gone, all 4 of those 160 cell packs. So I missed them. I've just been kicking myself in the ass ever since then. That was 2 weeks ago. Just been kicking myself in the ass for missing that. Because that would have gotten me, I got to process them all. It's going to take a while. Now, they did have some of those 9-bot, I think they call them, the e-bike cells packs. The ones that I showed you opening on that video that I used to build these packs up here for the fan battery. So they had one thing of 10 of those, which is a total of 200 cells. And again, with those 9-bot e-bike packs, I have not had great luck. And out of those 200 cells, I'm going to get maybe 100 that are useful. I'm processing them right now. But that's 100. I need 1,400 viable cells. I don't know. I don't know whether the LG, they're sold out everywhere, except for brand new, which they want like $3 a cell. And, I'm used to paying 50 cents a cell, having to process them out of those medical packs. But I know how to do it. I'm an expert at it. I just can't believe I missed getting those 4 packs. So that's now part of the purpose. Now, what am I going to try and do this weekend? Well, this weekend, one of the things is the big circuit breaker that I have here. This is mainly for being able to hook up with a 24 volt trip that I can use with the Batrium that will trip this off. There goes the inverter again. Shush. 24 volts, I can trip this off if there's a problem. If there's a critical fault with the Batrium, it'll trip this off. And I put a 3-amp circuit breaker into the Batrium. So 300 amps on that I don't really need. So I was able to pick up another one of those that's only 250 amps. Exactly the same, just a little bit smaller total. A little bit smaller, and it's only 250 amps, which is more than I'll ever need out here. So I want to put in this 250 amp breaker this weekend, and I want to wire it up with that 24 volt trip. I've got to look up in Batrium exactly where I got to put the 24 volts. Then I just run it from half the battery, and that's one of the things I want to do. The other thing I want to do is, remember I bought 2 conductor and a ground wire. 2 conductor and a ground wire that I ran for my 120 volts AC, and I ran it down, comes out here, goes down, goes along here, goes down the side of my house, comes over, turns here, comes down here. You can see where I haven't even moved back the stones yet. Actually got to rake them away because I have to dig all this up. Came down here, goes around the air conditioner, and then comes out to about here, and then goes inside and goes to the solar panel that runs the circuits for the solar panel. Well, let me show you something. Okay, so the other thing, if you remember the solar panel here, I only ran 2 conductors and a ground wire. So I have only a hot side and a neutral that I can run. So in this panel, this is the hot side and neutral. I don't have the other hot side to run on this side because, like an idiot, I only purchased 2 conductors and a ground rather than 3 conductors and a ground. I want to rectify that. Now I need to get a different inverter for that, but I want to be able to put these online because what's not on the system right now is the bathrooms, and my bathroom includes the washing machine, clothes washer, so that may be a 20 amp circuit. My wife's bathroom, which again, a bathroom, what do? You turn the light on when you're using it, which is not much during the day, so I can put the bathrooms on there. The kitchen, everything except for the light in the kitchen, and there's 3 plugs around the sink that are not on the circuit. The one that we run the microwave off of and the one that we run the refrigerator off of, those are all on the solar system. But there's a couple of other ones that we run coffee makers off of that are not on the system. I want to be able to put probably one of those on there. And then the other thing is the lights in the garage. So I've got something for the garage, I've got something for my bathroom, something for her bathroom, and then I'll have 2 20 amp breakers, because these are 20 amps. You can see, I don't know if you can see that or not, but these are 20 and these are 15. My bathroom that has the washing machine may be a 20 amp, so I may need to use that. But otherwise I'll have a 20 amp on there. So the long-term plan is to rerun those wires that I showed you that distance, and by golly, I have got the wire. This is a spool of 155 feet of 3 conductors and a ground. You can't see the ground, it's in that hole there, but 3 full conductors, a black, a red, and a white. A black, a red, and a white. The white is the neutral. 1 hot, 2 hots. So I'm going to run that wire. Now, the wire I ran before, what I can do is run that wire, still use the same inverter I have, and just hook up one leg for one side, and then have the other leg ready to go when I get an inverter that can feed both legs to run that leg on this side. And then I can add on those circuits. What I ran before, I ran through 1-inch Schedule 40 PVC conduit. This won't fit in there, so I have to use 1.5 inch. 1.5 inch means I have to drill an even bigger hole going through the concrete blocks coming into the garage. But it will be a lot easier to put that through the 1.5 inch conduit. So, not this weekend, but next weekend, I am going to run that wire because I will have like a week or so off. I'll have to shut everything down, but I'll run that wire and I can hook up just the one leg to the inverter I have, run this side of the thing, then order a new inverter, and when it comes in, hook up both legs and get that done. This weekend I want to try and get that circuit breaker wired in there and put in, and with the 24 volt trip, and then I'll start prepping things for running the new wire. Then I'll get a new inverter and I'll be able to put all the rest of the circuits that I want on the system. Even though they're minor, I still want to get them on there. So that's what I should have a video out in a couple of weeks after this one that I'll show you digging up the old stuff and putting down the new stuff and getting it all set up. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. All right, just a quick follow-up. I have prepared everything for the big dig this weekend. I have removed the pavers that will be in the way for the new 3 conductor. I have raked back the rocks from all the places. I still got to push those back a little bit so they're out of the way, but generally what I do is I have to put the dirt up here on the walkway. But you can see I've raked back the rocks along here. I've taken out the pavers that are around the air conditioner where it's going to come. Comes down here, turns, and then goes in. So this weekend, actually, hopefully starting tomorrow, depends on whether I can get out of work early or not. I don't know. If I can, then I'll start digging it up tomorrow. I may start digging a little bit today up here where the dirt does not have to be put up on the pavers. The reason I don't want to do the digging where the dirt gets put up on the pavers is because it's going to rain. It has rained every day for seemingly months now. It really did rain like every day for a month, and then it's been raining every day for the last week or so, which is a little bit unusual, but Friday, Saturday, and Sunday mornings at least should be good. And if they are, that should give me enough time, especially if I can get some of it dug up today, give me enough time to run everything and drill the new hole through the garage wall and run the wire, which will be the biggest challenge to me, getting the wire up in the garage, across, and pulling it down. I can use the old wire, tape the new wire onto it to pull it down through the wall. But by myself, that will be a bit of a challenge. I did get the new circuit breaker in, and I'm going to prepare it for the switching. I know which pins to use on the Batrium. That was quite a challenge, but somebody helped me on Second Life Storage to know which pins to use. I had trouble communicating with Batrium, and I kept asking them the question. They kept sending me the fact for wiring up the trip breaker, and I kept explaining to them that yes, I've read that fact, but the label on the pins on your diagrams don't match the label of the pins on my Batrium, and I even sent them pictures of that, and then I didn't hear anything else from them. So, but I think I figured out what they are, and of course I'll test those. I did kind of change my mind. I was going to just pull 24 volts from halfway across my pack, because really there's not going to be any draw on that system unless it trips the breaker with a critical fault. So it's not like it's going to draw my battery out of balance. But I checked, and I can get a buck box going from 48 volts to 24 volts that consumes less than 10 milliwatts, or milliamps. Maybe it's 10 milliamps of power, which is so trivial that I guess there's no reason not to use a transformer, although it is something that just has to sit there and constantly run for no reason. So I'm kind of bifurcated as to which way I'm going to do it. And there goes the inverter again. Seems to know when I'm making a video and wants to come on and start making noise. I may go back to doing it halfway through the pack. It's just a little bit unsightly doing the run that pulls the power from that, but and then it wouldn't be fused, which is a little bit scary, although the wire gauge I'd be using is small enough that it would probably burn out with any decent amount of current up. Of course, I can't pick anything up without something falling. I'm just going to use 18 gauge wire, so I mean that should be fine. So I don't know. I still haven't decided. I'll decide after I get this other thing run which way I'm going to rig it up. Now, let me tell you something. Two things. I got two things. One thing is my experience with Amazon, and I have done a lot of ordering on Amazon, but one thing you have to be careful of, I'm just going to throw this in here, and that is, this has happened to me several times. If you go on Amazon and you search for something, for instance, I searched for 48 volts to 24 volt buck box or converter, step-down transformer. I don't know what exactly I used in the search engine. And the search engine came up with a lot of them. So I'm going through and seeing which is the cheapest and looking at the specs and everything. But when you do that, the search doesn't include just what you put in for the search. It also includes things that are similar to what you put in for the search. So I found one that was like $10. I said, okay, well, a cheap one, that's all I need is something really cheap. I went ahead and ordered it. It came. It wasn't a 48 volt to 24 volt buck. It was a 24 volt to 48 volt boost. And I was like, oh gosh. So that got intermingled with my searches, and because I didn't read everything careful enough, because I was just looking for the price, I ordered the wrong thing. So I ordered a buck, but that's just something to keep in mind, to always be really careful of. Final thing is, let me give you a good sort of story. My wife and I are in the living room. We don't have cable television, and we don't usually watch commercial television, but I like to watch YouTube videos and things of that nature. She usually watches videos and things on her phone, and that's what we're doing. She gets up, she goes into the kitchen, and she says, oh, the light in the kitchen isn't working. And I said, what? She's like, yeah, look, the light in the kitchen isn't working. And I said, oh man, I just put new bulbs in it like a week ago. All right, let me look, I'll check on it. So maybe 10 minutes later I went in, sure enough, light in the kitchen was not working. And I apparently left the switch turned on since the light wasn't coming on. I went back to watching stuff on the television. Then maybe 10 minutes later, suddenly the light in the kitchen came on. And I was like, well, that's weird. So I went into the kitchen and looked, and I noticed that the clock on the oven was not working. The time was off. It was just blinking. And I went, oh, you know what? The power went out. For about 25 minutes, there was no power. We didn't know it because we're on this solar system. It never even dawned on me that the power could have gone out, and that's why the light in the kitchen wasn't working. But remember, I said the light in the kitchen is one of the things that is not on the solar system yet. The light in the kitchen, the garage, and our bathrooms are the only things that aren't on the solar system. So, and that's what I'm going to get on when I do the big dig and run this new wire setup. So I will start working on that in earnest. I'll show you the dig up and the put in of the new wiring system. And that will happen this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Hopefully I'll get it all done then. And so the video for that will come out in a couple of weeks. So that's all. I just wanted to tell you that story and give you a slight update on what's going on. Thanks for watching, and see you in a week or two. Bye.